Hi, and welcome to Chatty AF, the anime feminist podcast. Welcome to the second episode of our watch-along of the shoujo series, Yona of the Dawn. My name is Caitlin, and I'm a writer and editor for Anime Feminist, as well as writing for the Daily Dot and my own blog, I Have a Heroin Problem. I'm joined today by Peter Phobian and special guest Gabriella Ekins.
Hello, I'm Gabriella Ekins. I've written for a few years for Anime News Network. I think my most highly trafficked stuff was like Unlimited Blade Works a few years ago. I did the Pop Team Epic reviews last winter, and that's the most recent notable stuff, unless you're a religious shelf life reader.
And I'm Peter Phobian. I'm an associate producer at Crunchyroll and a contributor and editor at Anime Feminist.
So, we just watched episodes 7 to 12 of Yona of the Dawn. Do you guys remember what your predictions were last time?
I think I predicted Chipmunk would show up, and totally did, so I knew what I was talking about.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was pretty confident about that one.
Gabba, did you make any?
I don't remember, but I'm going to guess that I predicted that she'd begin accruing an anime harem, and that did happen.
Yeah.
So
also true. Chipmunks and reverse harems.
Yeah.
All right. You guys did good. You did good. I feel like there were a couple that I was sitting there smiling at because it's like, ha ha ha, that's not right. But I don't remember what they were. So this time I'll write down.
You might want to write them down if you want to use them against us in the future.
Yeah. That way I will crow about them next time.
I believe Yona will die.
Oh, damn.
All right, there we go. That sounds like a prediction made in good faith.
Mm-hmm.
An accurate and likely one. All right, so in these episodes 7 to 12, Yona did survive her fall, and she met the prophetic priest Iksu and his young and brilliant caretaker Yoon. And Yoon joins Yona and Hawk as they go out to search for the dragons. And the first one they meet is the white dragon, Gija, who has a giant monster claw. And he, of course, joins the team. And then they go and use his dragon powers to find the blue dragon. And that is sort of where episode 12 leaves us. So I was looking at my manga, and one of the most common complaints about Yona is that it's really slow paced. Like, I remember even in the first episode we were talking about how, and by first episode I mean first watch along episode, we were talking about how it takes a really, really long time for things to actually get going.
Well, after the first episode, I think the first episode a lot happened, and then after that it slowed down.
It slows down so quickly. That is because I think most anime adaptations of manga, they go generally 1 or 2 episodes per volume is my impression, but the first 6 episodes are 2 volumes. The next 6 episodes are 1.5 volumes. It is going at it is not just you, it is going at a super slow pace. And I have really mixed feelings because I can't think of too much that I would sit there, it all feels like it's character building, it is a really it's action driven and story driven, but it also very character driven, but also it does go so very little gets accomplished in each episode sometimes, and it feels really frustrating. I don't know. What do you guys think?
This seems like the type of show that I would be a little more into it if everything was 1.5 times a little more dense, but that would also break up sort of the even episode counts. Maybe if this was 40-minute HBO episodes, that'd be better.
Oh man, HBO Yona of the Dawn would be...
That's called Game of Thrones.
I guess it does have a little bit in common with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, if it was just about Daenerys, I guess.
Well, the king dies, in the first epised.
She's the chosen lady of the dragon.
There's no incest so far, though.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Yona and Suwon are related.
Are they?
But they're cousins.
That was normal back then, though, right? So,
But no twin cest.
Cultural.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
normal back then. So
that is something I want to talk about, the divine mandate that seems to be becoming a big theme in the story.
yeah, that is no. Well, I think we can get to that for sure. Actually, we can talk about it now. Yeah, I never really thought about the divine mandate as a part of the story, but like, yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if this is like something that's been bothering me more recently, because I keep seeing it come up, but and maybe it's just because it contrasted against Suwon, who's kind of like, I guess, trying to defy fate to do something that he believes is right. I'm a little bit gray on what my point originally was, but it's been a week or two. Let me see. He kind of there's the big prophecy about the ruler coming down from heaven and helping everybody out, but I guess I don't know. It's because Suwon, the way he's acting, it doesn't seem like that's working out. Like, he feels like he has to be in charge to run the country properly. I guess it's because of like the foreign threat or something. Because it seems like he didn't betray the king because he wanted the power. He wanted the power so that he could run the country in a way where they wouldn't be under threat of like foreign attacks. Am I getting that right? He seems unhappy with the way the country was being run.
Yes,
he felt like it was going to destroy the country, right?
Yes.
So
I'd say that seems like what's happening.
Yeah. So he obviously has like it seems like altruistic motivations for what he did, but then you have like this what do you call that, the divine rulership, right? So he's breaking that because he thinks that the ruler's inept, despite the fact that they have the divine mandate, and now there's this whole like, but Yona was ordained by the gods to come back in and run the country, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I don't know if that's going to come to a head later, but it seems like maybe there's a problem with this whole divine mandated rule type thing, because the leader isn't always great. Although then they have this third storyline running with the fact that her dad actually wasn't that bad. I guess it's because we don't know a lot about what's happening outside the country, or like what happened previously between their fathers.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely like the divine mandate sort of thing is, I guess I never really thought about it, but I guess it is kind of like anti-revolutionary, right? Like it's a popular fictional trope, but like the whole thing is that like King Il wasn't doing a very good job as king, and so Suwon did what he felt like he had to do and killed him. But since Yona, even though Yona was spoiled and didn't know anything about anything, she was on track to become ruler of the country, and she, and even if she's learning now, like, if it hadn't happened, then, like, she would have had that divine right.
Yeah, I'm interested now if this show is gonna like do anything commentative on that, or if it's just gonna be like fun adventure that's a little like mixed messages and all that front. I'd be fine either way, but it would be cool if we get one of those shows that's like actually commenting on sort of the drama of and the thematics of like who should rule, can Yona like atone for this? Was Suwon in the right? Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they definitely did show that Suwon has jumped the gun, since if he'd waited like a day, he might have become king anyway. Because Yona was going to convince her father to let them get married, right?
Well, she was gonna try, but it was shown that like King Il is pretty stubborn himself.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a maybe, but definitely that would have maybe been the first thing to try rather than regicide. That would usually be the last option on my flow chart of possible ways to wrest control of a kingdom. So he's definitely a jump the gun type, right? So that might be kind of setting the groundwork for why he maybe isn't a great ruler, because he definitely jumped to the worst thing you can do first, right?
Didn't something happen too between the brothers? We got like hints of that. I don't remember if it was like
Right.
stated clearly.
It's not clear exactly what happened, but by all expectations, Suwon should have been the crown prince. Like, his father was the older brother. He was a war hero, and a powerful leader. And for some reason, like, their grandfather chose Il to inherit the throne instead of Suwon's dad.
So I guess a lot of like the divine mandate, who's right type of thing really kind of relies on how they reveal the backstory regarding whether her dad was a good person or a bad person, since they've given us hints that he was one or the other.
Right. And these are things that I don't have answers for. Like, this has not been addressed in the manga so far. I don't know if it will be addressed. But it does sort of address Yona's need to learn about her country and learn about what is going on, which I really appreciate. She's not just the deposed princess, but she is has to learn. She is learning how to be a leader and learning about her country as she goes out and finds these dragons. Like, she meets Yoon and Iksu, and she learns that they were facing this terrible famine not too long ago.
Yeah, it seems she's sheltered too. So a lot of this stuff, I think they're trying to give us Yona's perspective, and she didn't know shit because the only thing she really was paying attention to was whether her hair looked good or not for Suwon before. So she's probably going to learn.
Her unruly and unusual red hair.
Yeah.
So she's going to learn a lot
also
about.
has splendorous orbs.
Yeah, the good eyes. Yeah.
Sorry
But
about
it's
that.
not as good as the Blue Dragon's wondrous
Yeah.
orbs.
So we're probably going to get her finding out that maybe the kingdom isn't having fun all the time like she is.
Yeah. But I mean, we do start to see Yona's development in this stretch of episodes. Like her starting to learn archery.
Yeah, which gives Hawk a boner.
Yeah, stirs his desires.
He's like, she almost shoots him in the face, and he's like, he hugs her, and he's like, oh, I want to do more, but we should go.
Hey, this is Peter from the future, and no joke, this is the last thing Gabriella said before her recording cut out. She stayed on the call, so the episode was finished, and at this point, it would be really awkward to go back and re-record the second episode when we've already recorded basically the rest of the series. To keep the Watchalong moving, we decided to put out the cast with just the audio from Caitlin and myself. Edited my very best to keep out moments where we ask Gabriella what she thinks and there's an awkward silence. Apologies for the inconvenience, and hopefully you'll get episode 3 and 4 without any issues. So without further ado, the rest of the cast, beginning with Caitlin and my own reaction to Gabriella's comment. Yeah, you definitely you're getting kind of mixed signals from Hawk, right? Well, I put up an image set or something. He said, "Don't think of me as a tool," or something like that.
He just really wants her to dom him, is what I'm getting here. This is a shoujo series, and I appreciate it being low key horny. Like romance isn't at the forefront of the conflict, but it is not subtle about Hawk not just being in love with Yona, but being kind of turned on by her and by her growth, and Yona has no fucking clue.
Yeah, it would be the series would be a lot hornier if he was brave enough to say something, but we were just let into his horrible thoughts while he remains stoic. Yeah, I honestly don't know why he's thought of as a jerk. Maybe it's stuff that happens later. Maybe people don't appreciate him even thinking some of that stuff.
It's mostly him being rude and teasing her, I think. I don't know. I'm sure people will explain it in the comments about why Hawk is actually terrible. And possibly some of them will explain why we're terrible people for not, and terrible feminists for not seeing why Hawk is terrible. I don't know. No, but I do enjoy her relationship with Hawk. Hawk's just kind of a butt in general. He teases Gija all the time. But one scene I really appreciated was her, the scene of her practicing archery at night. she doesn't just pick up a bow and arrow and all of a sudden she's a cool warrior princess. Like, she works so hard.
Training arc.
Yeah. Like, I mean, low key, yes. Like, we don't get the whole like, I'm going to do this special thing to learn how to do this, but like, she like has to like really, really work for it because it doesn't come naturally to her. Unlike Hawk, oh, I just kind of do it. Okay, thanks, very helpful. She realizes that this is who she needs to be, and so she puts in an incredible amount of effort to do it. This show definitely excels at like character growth. And speaking of character growth, we met a few new characters this time around, didn't we? But first she meets Iksu and Yoon and learns from them about how real people live.
Like starving to death.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like Yoon. I like how he is egotistical and arrogant, but he is also like really driven by he's driven by like a caring, what's the word I'm looking for, nurturing. Like, he's a really nurturing person. Contrast it with a lot of these similar shows, and like a lot of them are just different varieties of jerks, whereas like Hawk's the only real butthole of the bunch. Yeah,
I don't know, Keisha was kind of a jerk, just very indirectly. Like, he wanted to be the only one to protect Yona or whatever, so that's a shitty attitude, I think, kind of, in the way he's thinking about his relationship with Yona, that he just sort of takes out on every other character, kind of.
Yeah, no, that's true. Kija is kind of, yeah, no, you're right. Kija is actually kind of a butt. He's actually probably one of the least popular characters. This is a story that doesn't really care about, like, gender roles and masculinity. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be like, okay, well, now I'm going to send these things up. But, like, it's not concerned about, like, keep, like, Yona being feminine, being the feminine character. Like, probably the most feminine character is Yoon. He's the healer.
The one who has all the practical skills that everybody else lacks because they're either an idiot or they just know how to kill people.
Right. Like, I mean, this is all very true. Like, he is the only one who knows how to like do chores or like cook or like take care of himself in general, like, because like Yona and Hawk and Kija had like servants to do all that stuff, right? Like, and I like how with Yuna they got it out of the way pretty quickly, where it's like she's like, yeah, I was bothered by the bugs at first, but like now I don't even care.
You get used to it.
Like the prissy one, like that's the word to describe Kija, is he's prissy, like is a guy, and even though he's prissy, he's also extremely powerful and will like slap you with his giant fucking dragon monster hand. Big hand.
That's a really weird power.
Because they have dragon parts. He's got the dragon's hand.
Yeah, man, his town was weird too.
Yeah, like everyone had like the same hair color.
They all had a type too. He's like, hey, did you know her hair's red? It's like, what do you need me to do? This red-haired girl. Well, what's the deal? So I guess, what's his name? Shin Ah or something like that.
He doesn't have a name yet. Spoilers.
Oh, okay, my bad. He like paralyzes people by looking at them, so they wear masks so they won't randomly get paralyzed, even though they also told him to get nowhere near them.
I don't remember if they explained a thing with the masks.
It's like some high-key paranoia there.
His whole town is like... It's kind of a contrast between, like, Kija's town and Blue Dragon's town, right? Like, in the White Dragon Village, they all, they worship him. He's basically a prince. They keep throwing like women at him. He has a bajillion servants. Like, he is spoiled beyond belief. And in Blue Dragonville, he is super stigmatized. Yeah. Of course, this turns out with Kija being spoiled and Blue Dragon being very sweet, but also terrified of people.
Afraid of love.
I love the Blue Dragon. He's such a good boy. He's so sweet.
Now that's a spoiler because he hasn't done anything yet.
No, you see in his backstory, and he helps Yona. He's a sweet boy.
I guess he helps her find her way out of the cave.
Yeah.
I don't understand what like the deal with that is, because I guess they recognize that she's the red-haired Yona, right? The rightful ruler. It seems like they have no awareness. Like the other town knew what the dragon was and that he had to serve Yona, but the Blue Dragon Village, I don't even know if they're aware of that. Like, was that just lost to generations or something?
Right. Well, I mean, because they recognized that the Blue Dragon was the Blue Dragon at birth, and it was such a disgrace that his mom killed herself.
I remember they said in the legend, like, the leader died, and then they kind of, like, went to the Four Winds, like, until they got called again. If it's just whoever's, like, the next in the line for the throne would be the next leader, right? Couldn't they just stick around and continue being servants rather than, like, ending up out in the boonies where, like, the meaning of their legends could get slowly lost to history and people would start to revile them for their power? Like, you imagine, like, your four greatest warriors and their families might stick around in the palace and just continue serving whoever's the next divinely mandated ruler, right? Unless they had a good reason to break up.
Like, it definitely seems to be, like, a sort of divine thing. Like, this country's in such a mess that it's time for King Hiryu to, I don't know if it's like reincarnation, but for his, like, someone with his spirit to come along and become a leader and gather the four dragons and fix the country. Blah, blah, blah.
But so I think what we're getting is, like, there is a lot going on with this whole, like, Arthurian legend that she has, like, behind her bloodline, and the fact that it shows now to, like she's like the nexus of all this stuff coming back together again, and some of it is potentially problematic. So there's, like, a lot of, like, kind of ground that could be tilled here, or maybe not, in terms of like whether the divine mandate is good or bad. Why now, when obviously the country wasn't going that great before? Was it just because the leader was deposed? Does the person come back to ensure the leadership continues, or to save the country? And, like, the reason they split up the dragons, whether it was just a narrative contrivance so they had to go on the quest, or if there was an actual reason that they had to not hang around the palace and, like, let things get as bad as they were.
So I have a theory.
All right.
And it's not spoilers because it's nothing confirmed, and I just thought of it now.
Okay. Oh wow.
And it's based on information that's all been revealed so far. So I have a theory that the kingdom was already not doing super great. The reason that King Il inherited the throne might have been Yona was already born, because I don't think Il was king for very long. But Yona was already born, and
they saw the red hair.
They saw the red hair, and they're like, "This is the inheritor of she is the inheritor of the spirit of King Hiryu, so she needs to be on track to someday become ruler." But it is also, the story is regarded by most to be a children's, like, a legend. It's not taken seriously as historical fact by most people. Like, I think Yona says that, like, oh, that's just, you know, a story that we read.
How isolated are these tribes, though? There's, like, a dude walking around with a giant dragon claw.
I mean, it was, like, you saw it's a very mountainous region. Like, things can get pretty, like, isolated then. Like, it's not like you had easy ways to communicate between villages. Like, I think it would be pretty simple for a place to, like, start being pretty isolated. So, like, I don't know. That's my theory. But, like, and I think it is, like, the world is more developed than a lot of these sort of series. Like the easy comparison is Fushigi Yugi. A lot of people compare these two series. And And I don't know hardly anything at all about the countries where that series took place. Like, I don't know anything about the Conan Empire. I don't know anything about the Kudo Empire. But like, I really feel like I am learning a lot about Koka and what's going on in Koka. And like the different tribes have like kind of different cultures, but they're all like within a single nation. So like you can see the difference between the Wind Tribe and the Fire Tribe, but the world is so much more developed, and I think that, and yeah, the character driven parts, the characters feel like very very human, and I think those are really what sets this series apart.
Yeah, I mean, we already, it kind of seems, I don't know, I'm not up to stuff on my Korean mythology or anything, but it's definitely got some notes of Arthurian legend in here, so it's definitely drawing on, kind of existing myths. It's just the characters the author decided to put into it are very memorable. So, and I think it's fine to retell stories like that so long as you make the characters interesting or put another twist on it or something. So that's what separates Yona, I guess. I wonder if there's a similar Korean myth.
Stories like that tend to recur in like a lot of different places.
I have a question though, and anybody can pop in
Okay.
and answer this if they want. So Suno, Yona's dad doesn't want her to be able to fight or marry the man that she wants, so he kills
Right.
her dad, who's stopping her from living freely
Right.
in the way that
So
she
you
wants.
mean
Yeah,
Suwon.
Suwon. So is that feminist?
For fuck's sake. Peter.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's tearing down the patriarchy, and now she's fighting and she's dating Hawk. So
For fuck's sake, Peter. Yona's not dating anyone. She doesn't have time for that.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
She has more important things to worry about.
I think they're starting to get into some kinky stuff though. So
It's all on Hawk right now.
you ever
Yona has bigger fish to fry.
been like knee deep in kink and just completely unaware of it? That's Yona.
Yeah, no, she's the naive person who like does not realize what she's doing at all. He doesn't do anything to betray her trust in her because she trusts her. She trusts him so implicitly, even if he's kind of a butt and jokes about groping her while she is in a bag. I think that's something else about that Hawk does that has people saying like, oh, he's a jerk. He's an abusive figure. Is like, he got handsy while she was in the bag, and that's not good. I don't want to downplay that.
Well, they both talk shit though. I feel like that's just their relationship. I've met people like that who just like, you'd think that they hated each other if they didn't hang out all the time. Some people just like ribbing each other constantly, and I don't know, from this is just my perspective. So, like, you can tell me if you disagree, but I feel like it's pretty even between them.
I like as long as it's a give and take, and they're more or less equal in power, or if the woman is slightly more powerful, just as long as the guy's not more powerful. But anyway, like, I can see like why people get upset about that scene. I don't want to dismiss that, like, and that's like, I don't want to dismiss that. I agree that is not a good look, that he is doing that, and it is not okay, and it's not cool. But also, like, I pick my battles. I can understand, like, why that would have people, like, totally turned off of him as a character. But I still like him, and I still like their general relationship. While still trying not to be dismissive of that.
Wait, who was... Okay, there's one thing we didn't really talk about. Was it Iksu? The guy who could literally talk to God, I guess.
Yeah.
And is there an established God in this? I don't quite get that. So there were, like, the dragons came down from heaven, right? and one wanted to live as a human and then ended up becoming the ruler of the humans. Then the other dragons got lonely, followed that dragon down, and became his like divine warriors, right? So I'm getting that right.
I feel like that's, and God, I hope I'm not like saying something totally incorrect and wrong, but like in a lot of polytheistic religions, it's almost like the different gods are like like different aspects of a single figure. Like, I mean, it's like people will talk about like all the different gods, and then they'll talk about like the Kami-sama. I don't know. I'm talking out my ass right now. It's you know, it's not like the Christian God, you know. It is a convenient device. But yeah, it also does go back to the divine rule. Like Yona is the divine ruler. Like the higher powers are like on her side. She is the chosen one. But going back to Suwon, does Suwon, not knowing that, does that make him the bad guy? But I do think there is an ambiguity to Suwon. I think he has the best motivations in mind. He just kind of, you know, is on a different side than our protagonist.
Yeah, I mean, I think they made it pretty clear that his motivations were not necessarily bad. He just, his means were murder. Cool
motive, still murder. How many things can I quote in this podcast episode?
Getting deep in there, though. So, yeah, I think there's definitely that one of the, I think, in addition to it kind of being a rote fantasy and having interesting characters, I think it's also kind of, it's at least hedging whether you like about the morality a lot of these characters are approaching it with, and it's not really saying who might be right, although it's really kind of, I don't know. It would be interesting if at the end it's like, okay, well, does it really matter what God wants for the country? Is it important what the country wants for the country? Something like that. I'm really hoping it takes that direction, because I guess that would be like the most ambitious thing the story could do.
It's saying like, even if Yona is the divinely chosen ruler, Suwon is the one who is taking the reins and fixing things, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, she's obviously got some charisma. She's already got the royal hockey, so
the royal
hockey. What? Hockey is a thing in One Piece. Royal hockey, you can make everybody like bend the knee to you.
Oh right, that again.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep making that joke, so just buckle in, I guess. But so I mean, she obviously has potential as an individual, but yeah, they never educated her on any of the important stuff you'd probably need to know if you wanted to be a good bureaucrat or ruler. So maybe she'll learn that in the forest. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Yoon could teach her all about that. He seems to know everything, so
he is able to. He can pick up a book and understand it and completely remember it.
Yeah. Oh, does he have eidetic memory? I didn't write that down.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
It is. Yeah, no, that's established.
Damn, straight up, just like Destiny handed her a bureaucrat to handle like the country's economy. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's brilliant and kind of arrogant, but also a sweet, sweet boy who loves his foster father.
Who is probably just dead in the forest now, because he didn't seem to do too well without Yoon around.
He was completely incapable of taking care of himself.
Yeah, when they did leave, I was like, well, I guess Ixu's dead, because he like couldn't walk down the street without almost dying before. But he's like, no, leave me, I'll be fine. Live your life. Like, that's very generous.
I'll be okay.
He's sacrificing his life right now.
I didn't fall off the cliff this time. But that was, I mean, I thought that was like one of the like sadder parts of the series so far, is when Yoon realized that like Iksu is trying to make him leave. Because Iksu knows that Yoon has a greater purpose in life than just taking care of this. Just taking care of this one person, but like Yoon loves him. He doesn't want to go.
If he's still alive, they could probably post him up.
Yeah, but this goes back to like what we were talking about with like this show kind of plays with gender roles is that like Yuna's
he's the cute
he's
clumsy moe.
No, he's just someone who cares. He cares for other people, and like they got over, and like Yona doesn't care about bugs anymore.
Yeah.
But he just sure does. Instead of like Yona being the prissy princess for the whole way. So yeah, like I really enjoy it, like how it's this very sort of casual like disregard for like gendered expectations. They're not just like the pre-molded archetypes, like they have some complexity beyond like their prescribed roles. It's cool. It's really exciting to see. We should start wrapping up. Do you guys have any more predictions? I'm going to make a note of it now.
Well, I think she's probably going to finish her collection for sure. I think it's going to... I will predict, because I want to make kind of an ambitious prediction, that it is actually going to examine the idea of a divine mandate of rulership, and maybe Yona specifically will have to ask some questions about whether that sort of thing is just, and whether Sunwoo is a good ruler, because I feel like that's something that you would do as the plot turns into the second half. So that's my prediction. You write that down, right. Caitlin. Okay, final prediction. The Chipmunk's voice actor is Ryan Reynolds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yona and the Don.
All right.
Private Eye. Yeah,
all right, you
Detective
jokers.
Yona.
I'm writing everything down so you know. All right, so that concludes our second episode of the Yona of the Dawn Watchalong podcast. Thanks to Peter and Gabbo for coming along. If you like the show, go to check us out on our website, animefeminist.com. And if you really like us, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/animefeminist. We have some really ambitious projects that we would love to do to grow as a website, and we need some financial support for that. Every little bit helps. You can also check out our Twitter, twitter.com/animefeminist, our Tumblr, animefeminist.tumblr.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/animefem. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great whatever. I always fuck up the sign off.
Oh, you got it.